my man's like that.
Oh, into everything.
Girl, I know how you feel.
Why are
Right.
you over here?
All right. So Evan is supposed to be coming on because he's next. I don't know. I don't know if you guys did you guys watch my portion? I don't know if you guys were able to watch.
Evan, sorry. Sorry. Go ahead, Anthony.
I don't know if you guys were able to watch my portion or not, but it was very emotional. But I did tell a lot. I went into detail with a lot of things. So I was just about to end. So I
I
think
got
it's
some
I
issues with my
I
audio.
I
Can't
think
hear you guys. But
I
hold
think
up.
it's Evan's turn. Evan, can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
He just said something going on with his audio.
It is. Oh, goodness gracious me. Um, well, my microphone is on, so
I'm gonna hop out and hop back in.
okay. Sorry, guys, for the technical issues. I
My son
really
had to
do.
join.
Hey, nephew. Good morning. Oh, I got a smile.
Yeah, my son had to join the party.
Hey,
Wow.
your mama gonna have to send you to Texas for a whole week.
Say I'm coming.
I'll come get you, and we fly back together.
Hi. Say hi.
Bye. Y'all hear those hooligans in the back? Talking about bye, girl.
Look,
That's what
don't
I
you
get
go
for
in there.
That's what I get for having a girl.
Boys ain't no better.
They better than the attitude I be getting.
My son is just like his father, so he has attitude and anger problems. And he just ran off, so I'll be right back. Please hold.
Bye.
I'm waiting for Evan to come back in. Hopefully it
So
works.
who's after Evan?
I believe I think it's Jazzy, and then it's you. I went first, so I didn't know I was going to be taking that long time, but I don't know. Did
And
you
we were
see?
supposed to have 30 minutes, sir.
I know, but I took it got it got real at some point of the me explaining, but you know, because when you talk about the different topics of what you're going through and the experience that you're going through, I had to break it down so everybody can understand. So I didn't mean to go that long. I did not mean to go that long, but
You are forgiven. Evan, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
There we go. I can hear you guys.
okay.
What's up?
All right, guys. So, Evan, if you want to, I think I already introduced you on the other video, but I didn't mean to go that long. I promise. I did not mean to go a whole hour and 30 minutes. I was getting ready to do just 30 minutes and that was it. But, you know, that's what happens when you're explaining your life experiences. But, I'm really, really glad that you guys are able to join in. So I think I'm on live, so I think people are watching. So um, if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself and then just go ahead into the testimony.
Yeah. So, what's up? I'm Evan, aka Black Sherpa now. Um, this is pretty cool. You know, three of us went to high school together, right? So, um, originally from Baltimore. Um, like you were saying, I went to high school with you in Randallstown. That's where I met you. Um, and everything like that. So, um, for me, I want to talking about mental health and stuff like that. I remember you speaking, um, when you were talking for the hour and a half and everything like that, and telling your story and stuff like that. Um, we had similar experiences with bullying and people talking about you, and I think that's just the culture that was happening back then, um,
Yeah.
due to
Sorry.
due to a lot of due to a lot of insecurities of not just ourselves, but just everybody in our trying to figure out who they were and trying to fit in wherever they could and stuff like that. So, um, bullying and stuff like that did take a huge toll on me and did mature me and make me the man that I am. Um, so a better introduction of myself. I moved out of Baltimore for that reason that I didn't want my kids to experience that. You know, I remember going through those traumatic events, being picked on. You know, I wasn't the biggest kid, you know, by any means. I was pretty short. I didn't weigh 100 pounds going into high school. I wasn't even 5 foot going into high school. Um, and what killed me was that my son was going to the same elementary school I was going to, and I knew a few kids that when I went to school with them and stuff like that, they had kids in there, and I just didn't want that trend to keep on happening. I didn't want my kids to experience or have to go through those things that it feels like only people there kind of tend to have those experiences. Um, I know it happens everywhere, but particularly in Baltimore, kids are cruel.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, it's not just because of that person. I think it's what you were talking about, puberty, people going through puberty and stuff like that. Kids really were trying to discover themselves. People were trying to fit in wherever they could. Everyone was trying to follow a trend. Before then, there wasn't social media that wasn't prevalent. You know, everything wasn't instant and everything like that. So you kind of had to establish yourself as a person, not just like a virtual reality page where everybody is now. You know, I work night and day. I don't think people understand that. You know, people see my page. I live in Colorado now. Um, I climb mountains and everything like that. That's what I show people. But I just pulled a 12-hour night, you know, and I didn't even go home yet. You know what I mean? So I got off and hit this up and was like, all right, and I'm like an hour and a half away from home. So um, I just I choose to do and what all of this trauma that I've experienced in my life has taught me to do what you can, right? Do what everybody has the same 24 hours. Everybody has the same 24 hours, but it's what you choose to do with your 24 hours which sets you apart, you know. I pride myself. I haven't watched or been influenced by like television or entertainment or anything like that for a year and a half. I've watched 5 movies, and I can name them 5 movies in a year and a half, you know. So I really uh, uh, had to self-reflect because I was going through things in my life, um, like everyone else. Everyone has pressure, arbitrary pressure, um, that society puts onto them. And through entertainment, I feel like you have to emulate or be a certain character or someone, and you don't know who you are. And sometimes I feel like watching movies and being influenced by entertainment, you kind of lose touch of who you actually are as a person. You may watch a movie and then that may trigger something in your head. And then now you're walking around and saying, man, yo, Get Out was great, but I ain't going into mountains and, you know, I ain't going in the woods, yo. I ain't doing that. I ain't going with no white people, you know, like, so I think through entertainment is sometimes a poison. And that's why I cut that out. So the reason why I say all of that, the backstory between um, that is after I graduated high school, um, I went to college. This is a story that people don't know. I don't tell the backside of like what happened after high school, and then like how I matured and became the man that you see today. Um, After high school, it was pretty hard for me. I played baseball, and I wrestled. I had a full scholarship for wrestling, and I didn't take that. They wanted me to cut weight. I didn't want to do that no more. So I elected to play baseball. I had a couple scholarships and stuff for baseball, but I was nice. Like anybody would tell you, like I batted 667 in high school. I mean, I was unstoppable, So um, I went to college, but what people don't know is that I'm not blaming it. I feel bad because like maybe I'm trying to blame my brother or something, but my brother, he went to college and my mom put him through college. And he never really started paying his student loans back and everything like that. So my mom, she went into default, right? And after she went in default, I couldn't afford to go to college anymore. I had to take out stuff on my name, so that was very hard on me. So I couldn't afford housing. I couldn't afford, anything. So I elected to go to PGCC, and I was in uh, Baltimore at the time. I still lived in Randallstown, but I attended Prince George's Community College. So every single day, this is how dedicated I am. I took that drive every day. Not drive. I didn't have a car, I literally caught the 77 to New Carrollton. I caught the MARC train. I took the 77 to Patapsco. I took the MARC train to New Carrollton, and then I took two buses every single day, and I would do that there and back, and I would go to practice, right? So I was dedicated to that, and finally I couldn't afford it no more. I couldn't. I wasn't eating. Like I didn't bring food with me or anything. So um, I did a year of that, and then it just got too hard. It got to me. It was a lot of pressure. I would have to catch the last bus and the last train. If I missed that, I was stuck in PG. You know what I mean? So sometimes I would get stuck and just had to tough it out. Um, so after my first year of college, I dropped out. I tried to go to CCBC, but I was discouraged, man. I was tired. Like doing that for a whole year. I mean, that's a lot, I had an 8 o'clock class, I would be on time every day. I would catch the first bus, the first 77. And just to get to the 77, that was like a mile and a half walk. You know what I mean? So, um, I don't know. I was determined, and so after I couldn't afford to go to college, um, I had to get a job. So I started at Target, and I was working nights at over what was it, Flow Team. So I started at 4 a.m. Um, sorry. Yeah, so I was Flow Team. So I would start at 4 a.m. Again, buses didn't run, So I lived in Randallstown, over by Northwest Hospital. I was a mile past that, and I would have to get to Target in Pikesville, every day. Right. So I would do it. I would walk. I didn't care. I had to get work. You know what I mean? So eventually I got a second job at TGI Fridays. So I would start TGI Fridays around 4 o'clock p.m. and then I would get off at like 2 a.m. And then, but at 2 a.m. buses ain't run or subway ain't run. So how I did it was I would have to walk from TGI Fridays in Owens Mills to Target, and then I would catch like a half hour nap, in that parking garage right there. and then I would clock in and do my work, and then I would catch the bus home. So I kept on doing that because I didn't have no money, no nothing, So I kept on doing that until I saved up and finally got a car. But in the meantime, my now wife was my manager at TGI Fridays. So if I didn't work at TGI Fridays, if I didn't work at Target and I got off at 2 a.m., I would walk all the way back to Northwest Hospital from TGI Fridays in the middle of the night. I didn't care. I didn't ask for anything. I'm a silent person. Like, I go through things by myself. I tend to, I can hold a lot, you know what I mean, inside. And you really don't understand, like, you don't know how much that really can affect you until it's too late, right? So I was doing that over and over again. She finally offered me a ride. I didn't want her to, but she insisted. And then, because I was going through depression already from high school, because I had a really bad breakup in high school. I thought I was going to marry my high school sweetheart. She ended up, long story short, she broke my heart, right? Literally, she broke my heart. And I was broken. I was literally broken. I was just trying to find myself. I was trying to find my way. I didn't think anything past baseball. And when baseball couldn't happen, now I'm a firm believer in God, right? So he took that away from me. I had that all my life. And then he took that away from me. Not saying he took it away from me, but he told me no more. He said, look, you got like, this is real life. What are you going to really do? It's not high school no more. You're not in school. You got to figure out your path. So my wife, she took me home. We had this long conversation. Mind you, I got home at like 2:30. She gave me a ride. We talked in the car until the sun rose. I really opened up to her like no other. Cried a little bit, and she understood that, and she embraced it, and she saw past the weakness that I was showing, right? In my opinion, right? In my head, I was like, man, that's weakness, but it's not. Everybody goes through things, and everything like that. So with dealing with that whole incident with baseball, going to school, working, your girlfriend breaking your heart and cheating on you, I don't know if she might got pregnant by somebody, I don't know. It was just so much that just gets to you. It doesn't matter how strong you think you are, who you are. It can boil over, and those emotions, those feelings that everyone has, it can boil over to a tipping point that you can't return. You can't think clearly. You can't comprehend things. You don't understand why things are happening. You can't see why you're going through things, what your direction in life is even going towards, why God is even putting you in these situations. And that state of confusion can lead to a spiral of depression and darkness and hopelessness, and not seeing past or having even a goal to obtain. The scariest thing is walking through life and not understanding why you're walking through life, or what are you even walking to or towards. Not having a plan or a goal, or not even understanding where you're going to be at tomorrow. So inevitably that leads to suicidal behavior. That's literally your body and mind trying to figure out who you are, and you can't comprehend. You lost touch of who you are as a person. So that was my first dealing with suicidal behavior and stuff like that. So I met my now wife. We moved in together and everything like that. I was still working 2 jobs. I finally saved up money. I got me a car, and that was it, yo. When I got that car, yo, that was, man, that was a wrap. I was everywhere. I worked at Best Buy. I worked at Safeway. So I had 3 jobs. I had at one time. At one time. So I had FedEx, Best Buy, and Safeway. Yeah. So I would work that every day, and um, and I would work probably like 18 hours a day. And so I knew the goal because when I moved in with my wife, we were living off a dough field, and I knew that wasn't a place that I wanted to be, or, she had a kid at the time. So, and I grew up without a father too. Um, so that's my son, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I've been in that kid's life since he's been one, so, um, when that happened, there was a couple killings on the street, and I was walking past um, a crime scene, trying to get home, and then the detective asked me, "Hey, where you been?" Da 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 da. I declined the answer. He's like, "Well, you want me to take you in?" And that was the last straw for me. When he said that, I was like, "Yo, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like this, I know I'm not supposed to be. I don't like being here." So I went in the house. I told my wife, I was like, "Yo, we moving. We're moving." So after that, I bust my ass, had 3 jobs and everything like that, saved up money, bought my wife a car, saved up more money. We moved out. We could only afford at the time to live in Woodlawn. Then I got a job at IKEA, and the job at IKEA gave me more certifications that I had. So they gave me forklift certification, crane certification, stand-up certification, all these certifications with like heavy equipment and stuff like that. But the catch was it was an hour away. It was up in Perryville. So I would have to drive an hour, 56 miles one way to get to work. And I had to be at work at 4 p.m., So again, dealing with Baltimore, I'm living on the other side of 695, having to go all the way past, what's that, 83, and then to 95, and then up 95. Like, if I left 10 minutes late, I was like an hour late for work. So I would have to get there a half hour early every day, and everything like that. So I finally joined. I knew I was going to join the Army. I broke down. I told my wife I was going to join the Army, and that's where I learned discipline. At the time when I joined, I wanted to become a Marine, honestly. But at the time my wife was pregnant. It was a planned child. We were like, all right, we're going to have a kid. And it was at the downsizing of the Army, and they told us that we had too many dependents to join the Marines. So that was a heartbreaker there, you know. So then I went into the Army and stuff like that. I finally joined the Army. I wanted to be a MP, a 31 Bravo, but I had some bad habits. I was racing cars and shit like that, and got caught up with like reckless endangerment and stuff like that. Being young and dumb, just having too much energy, I guess. So I couldn't be a MP, so military police. So I kept on going down the MEPS. I couldn't find a job that I wanted and everything like that. And money was tight. And actually, I had 31 Bravo. I signed up as 31 Bravo. I signed my contract and everything like that. I was supposed to go to basic training, but they gave my seat away because they found out about my tickets that I had and everything like that. A whole incident with reckless endangerment, negligent driving, unsafe lane change. It was a rack of charges that I got. So they didn't let me get my security clearance for MP. But I did want to. I qualified for a security clearance, but not the driving portion, right? So I kept on going down to MEPS and everything like that. Actually, sorry, I put this back up because it just doesn't, yeah. So when they gave my seat away for 31 Bravo, it was like a week prior to my departure. So I quit my job at Safeway, straight up. I got fired at Best Buy. And then IKEA, I straight up quit, like burnt bridges, you know what I mean? So, and I was thinking I was going to basic training. So after that, they told me, hey, yeah, you're not going to basic training. You got to reclass, everything like that. I ain't had no job, yo. I had no job. So we got evicted of our place, yo. And then, you know, I had to grind some more until I could find a job in the military that I wanted. So after trial and error and everything like that, I went down to MEPS. I saw an opportunity for CBRN. And I was looking at the certifications that you get because I wanted something that lined up to the civilian world and that could translate to the civilian world, and I could go straight into something and not just be in the military for 20 and out. Because in the military, 20 and out, you're working 20 years for honestly a minimal retirement. Like you could go in the private sector and get so much more, or you can create your own and get paid a lot more. So CBRN it was. So I saw CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear specialist. I was like, Jesus, that's crazy, yo. So I signed up for it. I got it. I went to basic in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I went to AIT in Fort Leonard Wood, aka Fort Lost in the Woods. I gained this knowledge and discipline for chemical, biological, and radiological nuclear specialists, just dealing with chemicals and stuff like that. And I really fell in love with it. That was like the first time I ever studied in my life, yo. Like that I was challenged. So CBRN is like literally like the third hardest MOS school that you can go to. If you fail 2 tests throughout the training, you got to get reclassed. So I failed 1, and that was a wake up call. Like I'm 1 away, you know. So it was no more slip up. So that matured me as a man. I got that training. I translated that to the civilian world, doing hazmat, cleanup and restoration, you know, environmental things. Dealing with that, you get to experience things that most humans don't, and you see things that nobody sees. And you're touching everything that is possible known to man. You're certified to go anywhere in confined spaces, silos, whatever the case may be. We had contracts with CSX, people getting hit by trains, we had to clean them up. We had contracts with Baltimore County, so you know, people that got beat up in prison, or technically jail, we would have to go in and clean it up. People getting killed, unattended deaths. And so I've seen a thing or two with that. We also deal with acids. So like we clean acid tanks. We do barge cleanings. Those are those big ships. We cleaned tanks, those 1-million-gallon tanks for BWI and Dulles Airport. So I've been in there. We do emergency response. So if anybody spills anything, FedEx, Domino's, Union Pacific, CSX, even down to FBI, literally, if they spill something, we got to go out and clean it up. So I've seen a thing or two. So over the years, I've developed PTSD, and I had to come to that realization that I do have that. I don't dream anymore. I don't have nightmares anymore. I don't even know why. I can't even tell you the last dream that I had. Like it's a unrest, it's a restless state that I'm always in. And throughout the time in my life that I've been teased throughout school, the times that I've had very lonely times, very lonely walks, uh, spending a lot of time alone and to reflect and think. I've developed major reoccurring depression as well, and borderline seasonal depression. Um, so after that, in 2017, a, a slew of people that I knew got killed or either locked up. We all know that. You know, people that we all know, they've been locked up. And so I knew a slew of people. On top of the type of work that I was doing, it was just not working out for me. And my son was going to that elementary school that I went to. So I didn't want them around that either. So we were looking at places to move. Austin, Texas was number one, but I was stationed in Fort Hood. I can't do Austin, Texas. I came out to Denver for a wedding for my battle buddy, right? And I really loved it. I came out here and saw the mountains for the first time, and that was in 2017. That was the second best economy. I applied for a job for a company, and I immediately got it. So once I got that job, we packed up and moved. We broke our lease, like everything, you know, like we was out, like straight up. Not New Year's, Thanksgiving Eve, yo. We had Thanksgiving at a Golden Corral in Indianapolis. You know, we packed up our cars, and because she had a Pontiac Grand Am at the time, and then I had a 2007 Mercury Milan. So, I mean, these are sedans. We packed whatever we could with two kids in the car and drove 24 hours to come here. We signed a lease without even seeing the place. We signed a lease on the behalf of, we found the place that was the fifth ranked school. Well, it was the fifth ranked school district in the United States. So I said, my kids come first, so we're moving here. I don't care what it looks like, you know what I mean? So we came here, we found that school district, and Joe Flacco kids, when he was in Denver, he would drop his kids off every morning at my kids' school. John Elway grandkids go to that school. A slew of like the Denver Broncos kids go to that school that my kids go to. So again, dealing with that major reoccurring depression and that seasonal depression, every winter, you know, and stuff like that, I get into this mood and stuff, especially PTSD, little things that I've seen, kids getting shot, killed, you know, murder scenes, just crazy stuff, right? It just comes all the time. It just comes whenever. And sometimes you don't know, and I keep everything in. I don't know what to call that technically. I just keep everything in. I bottle up my emotions. I have a problem expressing myself when I'm going through stuff. I'll just be like, all right, I'll knock it out. I'll do whatever, you know, I'll just go through whatever just to get to wherever I need to go. You know, so, dealing with work and how this whole I'm leading up to the traumatic event, like why I shouldn't be here and why I have a second chance. I got to that company. I started as a tech. I worked my way up to a project manager. And then I was a project manager, and then my branch manager, me and him together were both, and we were a part of the largest environmental company, Clean Harbors, in the United States. So me and him both were the youngest out of anybody in our company to hold those positions. So I was the youngest project manager, and he was the youngest branch manager. So I have a different work ethic than him, right? He's not from Baltimore and from the East Coast, so his life is not the same as me. So inevitably, I started doing all of the work, like literally dealing with environmental hazmat every day, running like 5 jobs and responsible for 10 drivers, 20 techs, stuff like that. So my branch manager really wasn't doing much, honestly. So inevitably, I didn't have an admin. Anywhere I go, you got to replace me with 3 people, seriously. So I didn't have an admin. I didn't have a coordinator. Um, I didn't have a biller. You know what I mean? Like I was doing everything. I was project management. I was running jobs. I was doing job walks. I was doing quotes, and I was on site too. So it got to me. I couldn't say no. I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to turn myself off. And like I can, like, in the past 72 hours, I got 4 hours of sleep in 72 hours. And that's just me. So inevitably I got burnt out. Like anybody would, I got burnt out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to express myself. You hold this position and you have a responsibility of people's lives, kids. I have to do this so
Yeah.
my guys could get hours. I got to do this so my guys can feed their families. And I wasn't getting help. So I didn't know what to do. So I ran. I just left. I left everything. I left my kids. I left my wife. I left my wife. I left my job. I just went missing. I think a lot of people they recall a point in time when my face was everywhere, and like my wife couldn't find me, this and that. So I just ran. I went up into the mountains, and I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just didn't do anything. I drove on the wrong side of the road. Um, I just I was in a bad state. I didn't want to be here. I didn't understand my purpose anymore. I didn't know why this was happening to me. I didn't know why me. I think that's the common answer that everybody can relate to. Why is this happening to me? Why am I so much just me? I can affect so many people. And that's real life. When you understand that, that's real life. So after a long while, I came home, and and reunited with my family, but I had to make a change. I had to make a change. So I stepped down from my position and left Clean Harbors, and took on another role somewhere else. But again, I with that incident, especially driving on the wrong side of the road, I probably downplayed that, but I shouldn't be here. Seriously, you know. So I'm just very thankful and very humble. I feel like I do have a second chance. I get to see my kids, um, birthdays and Christmases, Thanksgivings. And if you haven't seen my son, it's crazy. He looks just like me. So I always say this. I felt like my book wasn't finished. My chapter in my life, well, that was a chapter. That's how I coincided. And also, I didn't have insurance or anything like this, so I couldn't get help through a therapist. I would always get a therapist, and then after like 5 visits, every single time, then my insurance wouldn't accept it anymore. So um, So that was hard to try to even get help, and then you can't get help. But they give you medication, you know. So I was on medication for a while, and I was losing weight. Then I was gaining weight. I had all these side effects. I wasn't myself. I was lost. Um, I didn't understand who I was anymore. I was just, you know, that hard worker person that you saw or heard. I wasn't that anymore. Like, I was bedridden for a while. Um, it was just, it was unstable. That's how I would like to explain it. It was just it was very unstable for me. So I I talked to my wife and I just stopped taking that medicine, right? And because I felt like a blurry head, like days would pass and I couldn't distinguish which day it was. I was having reoccurring things dealing with my PTSD. When I was on the medication, I was actually dreaming. You know what I mean? So uh, I stopped that medication and I confided into my wife. So, you know, I just like to encourage people. Like, I don't share my story often, um, but it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've been through. It's about where you want to go and who you want to become. Like, I feel like a lot of people are walking around with, like, don't understand their purpose, don't understand where they're going, or don't understand what is next. Sometimes you got to create what is next. It's not always just going to be given to you. It's not always going to be
Right.
uh, the, so I just like to, so I started to occupy my time. I had way too much time on my hands, right? So I quit that job. I wasn't on call. So I was on call for 5 years straight. Like, at any point in time, I could be doing anything. And if I got that phone call, hey, yo, we got a spill, I got to go to work. And with my profession and my wife, she know, like, I can't tell you when I'm getting off. You know, it may be 2 hours. I could be back in 48 hours. Or I got to spill out of town. I got to catch a flight and I'll be back in 2 weeks, just in a moment's notice, you know? Um, like, when we moved here, within 48 hours, I was in Utah. I had to fly to Utah, and they said, oh, it's going to be a 3-day job. I was there for 2 weeks with $20 in my pocket, yo. You know, I was eating Walmart pizzas, yo, to survive. Seriously, you know. So life was very hard. So I elected to confide into what was free, what I was seeing every day. So in Baltimore, I feel like you live in a tunnel. You know, I came out here and, like, it's vast. Like, you can see the mountains, and, you know, you got lakes and reservoirs, you got open spaces here, you got so many opportunities. So I confided into the outdoors. I started hiking, you know, I started just planning and looking at things. I started looking at, why do people come all over the world to Colorado and visit and vacation and stuff like that? So I would hit every spot that I could think of that people were um, wanting to come here for. So I started to embrace being outside and learning about survive, not even just survival, but, like, how to be comfortable outside. You know what I mean? Like, how to hike. Like, why do people like this? You know what I mean? Like, at first it was super uncomfortable. I'm from Baltimore, you know. You know, I didn't know anything. Um, and don't let that fool you that, you know, the army taught you about outdoors. They really don't, yo. You know, um, so I started hiking. Always, you know, everywhere you go, I don't know if you know, if you ever been to Denver, but if you look west, no matter where you're at in Denver, you can see the mountains. You know, you can literally see the mountains from 80 miles away out east. So right when you cross over the Colorado border, you can see the mountains. So I always saw that, and I wanted to get up there. So I had to teach myself how to get up there. So there was this website called 14ers.com. I started going on there. After I started going on 14ers.com, I realized, like, okay, these mountains can actually be climbed. So let's do some research. And like everything, I'm a perfectionist. I like to see things through. No task is ever too big for me. I don't care what it is. We'll get it done, you know. So I started. I had my buddy, Mike, and we hiked our first 14er together. Needless to say, we did everything wrong. My first 14er, I didn't have we. We started at 2 p.m., yo, and that's a big no-no from the jump. We that was the first time I hitchhiked. We had no headlamps. We had no first aid kit. I had jeans on. I had a cotton hoodie on. My water in my bladder froze, yo. So I had no water. He went to a snack, like we had our snacks and stuff like that. We stopped and had a snack spot. He was talking about his sandwich all day, yo. The whole time he was like, yo, I can't wait to have my sandwich. He took one bite, put it down. The wind took it and blew it off the mountain, yo. Like like everything that could go wrong went wrong on that hike. So again, me being who I am, I'm a fighter. I don't quit. So I saw everybody else flourishing around me. People were passing us, and you know, and so that made me look and be like, why can't I do this? So I started researching more on how to be able to conquer these things. So I got my first 14er. I went out with my buddy Zach. We did the tallest mountain in Colorado, Mount Elbert, 14,442 feet, 43 feet, sorry. So it's the second highest in the United States. So that was for my first 14er. So after that, I fell in love, I fell in love with that. So I wanted to keep on doing it. And I was just using 14ers.com to I was using 14ers.com to gain education and stuff like that. So I made the task to do all the mountains. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to do all of them. So after I did my first few, after a certain point, you become alone. The mountains get harder, they get steeper, they get more technical. After a while, I didn't have anyone willing to go up with me anymore. And I wasn't going to let that stop me. So for 48 of them, I did them by myself, So I completed the 14ers, and it was kind of a big deal. I was the fourth African American to ever do all of that. So, I mean, that instantly put me in a percentage that is unimaginable when it comes to Black people, right? And surprisingly, I had a platform now that I could say and speak on things. So I used my platform to talk about what I know and what I care about. And what I care about and what I know is Baltimore. And I just wanted to help out. Like, if I had a voice, I wanted to use it to help. I didn't want to use it for personal gain or anything like that. I wanted to help, especially youth, give them an opportunity, because I fell in love with the outdoors, and it really helped me. A lot of people don't understand how tranquil and how healing nature really is. And it sounds so soft and stupid to people, people that just don't get it. but it's so much solitude. It's the most quiet that you can ever imagine. And I think some people are scared of that. The most crazy feeling is like being by yourself and just stuck with your own thoughts and can't get away with them. Can't get away from it. You can't escape it. You can't just plug your ears or watch a movie or something like that. You got to deal with those thoughts in that quiet moment that you have. And I think culturally in our race, I think we tend to shy away from that because we deal with so much trauma. We all have so much pain and hurt that we don't deal with every day. Honestly, we try to hide it. We try to occupy our time with something else, to entertain us so we don't have to think about the present moment. When we go through things, we tend to just be like, all right, I'm gonna just go home and I'm gonna just watch something. I'm gonna play a video game. I'm gonna do something. You don't have a solitude moment to be like, I'm gonna deal with this. I'm gonna face this. I'm gonna put myself in a situation where I can't get out of, and I gotta deal with this. And it grows what I call trust within. It grows a because we as Black people, I feel like we don't trust ourselves, or we second guess ourselves because like somebody's gonna say something, somebody's gonna do something. It's an influence that hurts us inevitably and stops us from being who we want to be. And I just want to share that love and like share, like, you can be who you want to be. You can do whatever you want. And I want to like teach kids that. So I built the program in Baltimore, and we're taking 80 kids um, to a nature camp in Virginia, and it's going to be pro bono, you know, um, and everything's going to be paid. Food's going to be paid for. Transportation is going to be paid for. Housing is going to be paid for. We're going to get kids backpacks. We're going to get kids, um, if girls need their hair braided, we'll get the hair braided. If they need hiking boots, we'll get them hiking boots. Whatever they need. So for this program, it cost $80,000. So we raised $80,000, and I just want to show people what $80,000 looks like, what it can do, how much of an influence we can make. We lost very influential people in our community. Elijah Cumming, like, who's gonna fill these shoes, these programs and things that he put in. I remember him coming to my school, and at Winfield and talking to us, So I remember Ray Lewis coming. Actually, I got invited to an I-9 sports event for anti-doping and steroid clinic or whatever, and I remember him talk how influential and how moving that was, and for me, and impactful to like put me to that next level. You know what I mean? That you wouldn't have thought of that you were capable of, but like you willing to do something. You know what I mean? To get to where you need to go. Life's not easy, yo. Life is hard. We all go through things and deal with our own issues, and I just want to influence young people to have mindful thinking, self-reflection. That's going to be a course that we're going to teach. Mind and body, yoga, incorporating yoga, um, and just trying to teach young people how to like understand themselves, have that moment of uh, independent thought, completely independent, not influenced by anyone or anything, but to confide in themselves and to trust what they hear and what they think to who they want to be, you know? And I think that's the goal. I think that's what we really want to strive for, is to create a safe space for people to reflect, um, create a safe space for people to grow and to discover themselves, to believe in themselves, to build trust with themselves, to be able to do whatever they want to do. So that's the goal that we're trying to do, and I love what you're doing with your program.
Thank you.
It is amazing. I mean, seriously, if we had 1,000 more people like you and me, and I mean, Baltimore would be different. I'm tired of seeing. Honestly, I'm so sick and tired of seeing rappers do a $4 million watch. Like, I want to show you what $80,000 could do, and that's so obtainable. And it doesn't have to come from one person. If we come together and build these things, like my program's going to be an annual event now. I've built that. It's stable. This camp was founded in like 18 something, and they really don't have black people there, and they wanted to figure out how to do it, and they found me, and they were like, yo, we want to do this. And I was like, yeah, so if we have more people that can make a positive influence, if we can have more people that can portray a positive image, and you want your kids to emulate that, like, I think Baltimore would be so much of a better place. It has so much opportunity. It has so much culture. It has so much history there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tight-knit community too. At the same time that we're so far apart, it is a tight-knit community. Like you were saying, everybody knows each other. It's 600,000 people, but it feel like everybody knows each other. We all come from the same tree. Like everybody has family in North Carolina or down south. So it's amazing what you're doing, and I really truly believe it, and I want to support it however I can. And so that's my story, dealing with depression and mental illness and stuff like that. I I overcame it, and I found nature to really help me. So.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful that you spoke. That was really, really wonderful what you just said. And I think more positive people need to speak out, because like you said, Baltimore has a lot of culture. The art center, we're known for our art centers. We're known for Carver. We're known for all of these dominant places. We're known for our museums. Baltimore has so much history. The Royal Theater, the different things in Baltimore that we have. We're known for Billie Holiday here in Baltimore. Just the cultural dynamic of Baltimore is one thing that we have lost touch with. Like some of the monumental fond memories of things that we hold dear to us here in Baltimore, we've lost that touch. And especially when I touched on this morning about, we had so many recreational centers in Baltimore. It was crazy, especially in Baltimore City. I don't even see those anymore. Like the basketball teams. I remember when youth used to get together in Baltimore and go to basketball games in the city. They used to go to the rec centers and play basketball, and they would do that they used to have tournaments. You don't really see that anymore, unless it's like during school and they're doing it for like a championship game or a basketball game, championship game, if it's school related. But outside of school, they did it for, recreational purpose. They did it because some maybe only had basketball for the only thing to do because they didn't have a home to go to. Some of them didn't, were living out in the street. And we have so many more that are living out in the street now. And it's really, really, really getting to me. And I'm like, God, what can I do to be a positive influence and be a positive outlook on all of this? Because you got a lot of Baltimore teens killing themselves. You got a lot of girls getting pregnant right now without the boyfriend being present. You got a lot of absentee fathers, a lot of absentee mothers. Family dynamic is losing its stretch right now. What can we do to build up our positive community and our positive outreach? I know that I'm doing all that I can with what I'm doing, but if we can just get more people to come together. It's like the community. we looked out for the community more.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just terrible to see that people don't have that passion anymore.
I got so many ideas, you know. Like you hit on the rec centers, you know, they're not open, but when they do open, somebody got shot. You know what I mean? So even Brandon Scott said it. He was like, "How can I tell people to go to the rec centers and we can't protect your kids at the rec centers?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get what he said and everything like that, but at the same time, you can't just give up. You know,
You gotta keep going.
you know, you gotta keep on going, and you gotta adapt. Okay, maybe they need security. Maybe they need. Remember, we had off-duty cops. We had cops at the PAL centers. You know
Yes,
what I
we
mean?
did.
So,
Yeah, we did.
yeah. So, you know, even building a community. You know, Baltimore has a community of dirt bikers. You know what I mean? But they riding on the street. And I know that they're looking, they want a dirt bike spot in Baltimore and everything like that. But I feel like logistically, they can get together, put their money together, get a U-Haul truck or whatever, mobilize their stuff, and go out on a trail. Hit it, take a dirt bike on a dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we could level up here.
Yeah.
And outdoor education is not available for us.
No.
Boy Scouts wasn't meant for us at one point in time, right? So
Yeah.
we still don't feel comfortable. I know it's there. I know it's changed, but as a community, we really don't feel comfortable, you know, sending our kids there. I mean, they have so many lawsuits. They have, you know, it's ridiculous. So the disparity of outdoor education in our community is almost non-existent. You know what I mean? So we don't even know how to get out and recreate responsibly. Everybody, you know, you should know the 10 essentials. I mean, that's literally life-saving stuff. That's survival techniques. Leave no trace. You go through Baltimore City, there's not a trash can for 4 blocks. Like, that doesn't happen in Denver, yo. You know what I mean? What do you think's gonna happen? When coronavirus started, didn't they take out, they were like, oh, no more recycling, no more, they scheduled y'all trash. Like they took down the amount of hours that the trash workers were working because of coronavirus at one point in time. I went back to pick up my mom-in-law, and it was bad. I was like, what the fuck? There's like trash everywhere, you know? So it's just little things like that. Like we need to take care of ourselves, our own community, and worry about that. Not just ourselves, but each other. Like we're better together. I don't like the stipulation that only one person can make it.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. It's like, you know, in Baltimore, only one person can have the top. Only one like.
I mean, look at
Black Wall Street.
Look at Little Scooter.
Yeah, like Baltimore. Baltimore has so many people that have been suppressed, that have good ideas, but that have either had dealt with trauma, and they can't open up no more. Like they don't feel comfortable expressing themselves anymore, you know. But by them expressing themselves, you don't even understand what the cap is. You know, we have so much ingenuity that we're not using, you know, because that's not cool. But then if you look at the trends, it doesn't even make sense. You know, like polo was a thing, but you got bullied in middle or elementary school if you were wearing polo or Reebok or whatever. You know what I mean? But then everything is a cycle. It once wasn't cool, and then now it's cool. You know, like you can never win.
Yeah, and
you can never win.
At one point, everything that I was going through in middle school trickled into high school. So I never healed from it. I never healed from anything. So all of that emotion and all of that, everything that I dealt with in middle school trickled into high school, and then it just made things worse. And then losing my adopted mom, it made it worse. So nothing got better from that point. But I made a decision. I decided to say to myself, I said, hey, look, you have to take what you've learned. You have to take what you've experienced. You have to take everything, ball it all up in one pan and take it, digest it. It's not gonna look good. It's not gonna taste good, but it's your life. You have to pick up the pieces and put yourself back together again. Because I don't think people realize the total power that they have of putting your life back together with certain situations and experiences. It may not look pretty. It may not look glamorous. It may not look like a piece of crap, but you have to take it. You have to pick up your life and move on. You have to at some point. I wasn't going to stay where I was. I wasn't going to. Yes, the bullying affected me in a certain way. Yes, the bullying, the teasing, all of that affected me in a certain way. Yes, but I got past all of that. At some point in your life, you have to acknowledge what it was. You have to acknowledge it for what it was in order to help better yourself. And I sometimes I didn't even acknowledge it. I didn't even acknowledge what I was going through. I was like, I'm not even going to acknowledge this. How do you go about acknowledging it? How do you take the blindfold off and look at it for really what it was? How do you do that? And at that time, I didn't have the mental capacity or the space or the time or the right emotions to even deal with it. But I persevered through it. I said, look, listen, you going through a lot. You going through suicide. You're cutting yourself. You're not eating. You're not loving. I didn't love who I was. I didn't like who I was. I never liked. And after that, the incident that happened in middle school, I didn't like myself. So it was like me telling myself, oh, you're a horrible person. Oh, and then all different thoughts come into your mind. And that's where the enemy seeks to devour you first, is your mind. The enemy seeks to kill your mind first. Why do you think the mind is the most important part of our body? It tells us what to do. It tells our bodies what to do. It tells us how to pee. It tells us how to sit down. It tells us when to eat. It tells us when to go to sleep. It shuts our body down when we try to go to sleep. It helps us pump our blood to our heart. So our mind is our most influential part of our body. What do you do when you have all those things going through you and you don't know how to express it? I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to say what I needed to say. I'm not going to go into every deep thing again, but it just fathoms me that we don't have the mental support of it. We don't have the community support no more. We don't have the mental support. Not everybody's crazy. Not everybody is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Everybody's had personal life experiences that everybody has gone through, and I just feel like the help is not there. I mean, our youth is in trouble. Literally in trouble.
And yeah, and I say this, sometimes confiding in the outdoors, going in a hike, going out with your friends, going out even by yourself. Sometimes you can finally get away. You get that escape.
Oh yeah,
you can actually think. You can actually reflect. You can let go of things. You have a certain energy with you. I'm all about energy. So I want to represent positive energy. I want to be like glowing with positive energy at all times, and positive things will come to you.
Oh yeah, positive people will attract you. Businesses will attract to you. Blessings will attract to you. That positive energy sticks with you and it stays with you. But you have to make a decision. It's your decision. It's your conclusion of the matter of what you want to do. Do you want to just wallow in negativity all the time? Do you want to have these? And then you have to look at the circle of friends. You have to look at the circle of friends that you're around, because I said to myself, yo, I got to delete these numbers out my phone. I got to delete some people out my life. I don't know what's going on with me. At the time when I was going through the phase of the people talking about me being gay, it wasn't, I could hear it mentally, I could hear them saying it, but me actually processing it, hearing it and processing it is two different things, because I didn't want to process it. I didn't want to accept it. And at that time, at middle school, and like I said, I didn't have a father figure in my life, so I didn't feel comfortable approaching my family about it, because, you know, Black families, we go hard for hours. We always go hard for hours. So you can tend to look at it however you want to, but it's your life, and you have to pick up your pieces and move on with your life. I mean, I made a decision not to wallow in self-pity. I made a decision not to cry about it anymore. I made a decision not to scream about it, because I was so hurt on the inside that I didn't even know how to feel anymore, or go about doing things myself. I didn't know how to do that. Like I said, I used to write affirmations on my mirror every morning, take a flashcard and write the affirmation down, say it to myself every morning, until I started to build the encouragement back up in my body that I needed to, because nobody was telling me. I didn't talk about it. I kept it inside. And that's the most cringent thing that we're doing right now, is we have a lot of youth and young people that don't express what they feel, how I go about doing this. And then they don't have a positive family orientation around them. You got the father on drugs, you got the father in jail, you got the mother doing this, you got the mother doing that. And then you have all these different total situations going on, but nobody is bringing a positive outlook, a positive mindset to youth right now. And I feel that if we don't do it now, Generation X and Z, I'm sorry, they're going to be lost in the sauce. They're going to be lost forever. And we won't be able to reach them back. I mean, this generation is so fixated on materialistic things. Who got the best shoes? Who got the best TikTok video? Who's got the best Facebook Live? I mean, when we were growing up, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have Instagram. Yes, we were a part of the era of social media per se, but
MySpace.
we had MySpace, but it wasn't so affirmated like it is with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. It's not so affirmated. We didn't let it to be our daily lives. Our parents didn't let us be on the internet all the time. No, shut that computer down. Homework time. Books. Get your head in the books. I mean,
Dial up.
Thank you.
Phone or internet, which one?
Phone or internet, which one did you want? And then the dinner table dynamic. You know about the dinner table dynamic. We used to talk at the dinner table. Nobody wants to talk at the dinner table. You either sitting there by yourself on your cell phone or Facebook. Nobody has the conversations no more. Like, how is your day? And then you start telling your mom or dad about your day. You start telling them about some of the project. Well, some of the things. You're not going to tell them all the secrets, but you're going to tell them some of the things that transpired during the day at school. But whatever happened to that family dynamic duo where you just sat down at the table, take the cell phone out of the equation, and just talk? Talking has gone out of the window for our parents. And I really do think we need to get back to a place where parents need to take responsibility in talking with their children. Like, a lot of parents have dropped the ball on that. They let them go, and I know some people are probably going to hate me for this because I am talking to a broadcast, but parents have a certain responsibility and a duty to protect their children and teach their children moral values and standards about the world that they're living in. Simple, point blank, period. If you don't my mother always said, charity starts at home and then spreads abroad. It does. It does. Everything that you learn starts at home, and then you go out into the world, and then you spread it abroad of what you learned at home. If you're not teaching your child at home, there is no guarantee that they're going to be successful in life.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of camping because that teaches even the adults that you can't run from a situation. You can't just
Exactly.
pick up your phone. You
Exactly.
can't pick up your phone. And then you inevitably are having those conversations, not just at the dinner table, but you'll start a bonfire. And you'll be watching the fire. You'll be watching the stars. You know, all of these things that are influential as a kid that mold you to understand perspective,
Yeah.
understanding that this world is quite big.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like this generation, we don't grasp how vast this is and how many people there really are, how many opportunities there is. We're not in the 1960s no more when we're influenced heavy by the news anymore. We get instant gratification now. We can go live just like how we're doing, whatever we're doing. When the protests were going, we were watching it live, like all night, all night, yo,
No,
you know?
I can't
Um,
tell you. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you when they had the Freddie Gregg riots. I can't tell you how many live streams were up right now and people were sharing it all over the world. I mean, millions and millions and millions of people were sharing Baltimore all over the place. And I really do think we've gotten hip to it. It's like we've gotten hypnotized by putting people's lives on display when back then you didn't have none of that. They didn't even have TVs yet to produce color and all these different things. So because they valued family more than the materialistic things that were on TV. Yes, you watched a show, but you didn't let it run your life. You didn't let it seclude your life. You didn't let it take over the totality of your life. So for me, looking at the lenses in and out, it's like the youth today are so stricken with I got to be seen. Everything doesn't need to be seen and heard. I got to be seen for this. I got to be seen for that. I got to be seen for this. I got to be seen for that. I mean, that's the reality that we're living in now, but I feel as though that we need to step up to the plate and go grab our kids now, because if nobody's going to do it, somebody has to do it. I mean, look at education right now. Right now during the pandemic, you have teachers quitting all over the place. I don't know if you noticed, but you have teachers are getting fed up. Teachers are getting fed up with parents not teaching their children moral values at home. Their behaviors are going out of the window. You got more school shootings coming out of the woodworks now. And it's like it's beginning to be an eye opener. Like you can't even walk out your front door without something going on. You can't. The safety net is gone. But we need to get back to being a safe environment, a safe place for our children. Whatever happened to being a safe place and a safe environment for our kids.
yeah,
And
but
parents, you know
I
what I'm
feel,
talking about. They know what I'm
yeah,
talking about.
I feel like as Black people, right? Like honestly, we are instilled
I'm talking
with
about
fear,
not
you know?
just not just us, but everybody as a
Yeah,
whole. But us
yeah,
as a race, as Black people as a race, yes, we are prevalent to that in certain areas. But as us as a whole community and as a race combined, the human race, we need to get it together. Because it's not just a black issue. I see it in different cultures, different areas of cultures. I see it all over. Like we really, really need to get a grip. We really need to go get our children now. And we need people to do it. But who's willing to step up to the plate and do it? Who's willing? I bet you right now, if we come off of this live, and we probably will talk privately, of course we are going to talk privately after this, but I bet if I say this right now, because I really want a building for my nonprofit organization, because this year I'm striving for it and I know I'm going to get it because I know I know what my intentions are and I know what is needed right now. I bet whatever happened to people actually caring and being specific about what they want and people actually doing something action, because all we getting is talk right now from community leaders. We getting talk, We getting talk from mayors. We getting talk from governors right now. What about the action? You got to put action to what you say. I hear it, but I don't see any action. I don't see no footprints moving. I don't see anything. We don't see anything, especially here in Baltimore. We don't see anything. Time and time again, we see countless and countless young people getting murdered. We see countless young people. All I see is the jail system getting larger. That's all I see. That's all I see. It's very depressing. It is very, very sad to watch. It is very sad to look at. But what are we going to do about now? What can we do about now? That's what I'm worried about now. Our children are not getting the education they need. They're not getting the education that they should be getting or deserve. We're slacking in some areas. Funding, you see funding here in Baltimore going up in smoke. It's being uncovered. All of the funding for schools are being uncovered right now. They're putting money here to here to here. They're putting more money into the roads than they are the school buildings and different community services that we provide. So
they shutting down schools and making them into police precincts. And then they shutting down schools and making a new juvenile detention facility.
Well, I don't know if anybody has ever seen the juvenile facility, but they've posted about it. I've actually seen it. I've actually seen it on the internet. I'm like, dude, you mean to tell me that this juvenile facility fills how many kids? How many people? Like, that's a huge juvenile facility to put in Baltimore. And it's here in Baltimore. It's here in Maryland. It's already here. It's already up. So they spent millions and millions of dollars to do a juvenile detention center, but they did not put any of that money back into the communities where it should be.
HVAC systems, AC, just making kids feel comfortable. I think that's the thing that will change our kids too, is making them feel comfortable to express themselves, to even just have feeling like that's a human right.
Yeah.
When you go to school and everything like that, you don't have to wear a jacket in school, or you don't have a fan blaring like at Old Court Middle School when you're in the trailer or something. You got the fan blaring, you got to hear the teacher over the fan. Like, it makes it a hard environment for kids to even stay focused.
I can't even
keep their attention.
I can't even tell you when the pandemic first started. I can't tell you the countless meetings that I was in. I know a lot of teacher educators are probably watching too, but when we first started the pandemic, we were wondering, like, what the heck? What in the world? How are we going to move from reality, real world, to virtual reality? Like, everything is shifting into virtual. So when that first started, it was like the kids weren't coming on, the attendance was low, the classwork wasn't being done, it wasn't being submitted, grades weren't being reported. I mean, Baltimore City was it was like a playing field. Like, their grade system was publicly announced out in the open, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what is going on? It at some point, it's gotta stop. At some point, parents have to step up to the plate and make sure that their children are doing what they're supposed to be doing in school. But if you have to teach them at home, teach them at home. It's okay. You may not have all the time in the world to do it, but teach them something at home so that you're instilling positive reinforcements at home. Because if you're not instilling positive reinforcements at home, that negative behavior, that negative attitude, that always talking back, that smart lip, get them popped every now and then. But hey, it's got to work at some point. You got to put forth the effort. And I feel like we've dropped the ball on that on so many instances.
Yeah, but I feel like the behavioral issues is a taught behavior.
Yes.
And
it's a learned behavior.
And it's a taught behavior that, learned behavior that stems through our entertainment. There's zero morals. There's no filter anymore. And there's the influence through entertainment is real. And if you got somebody looking up to whoever and they're going to emulate that, what are they representing? You know, like we need more positive, influential people in that people like kids can want to emulate, that want to grow up and be like that. You know, not just what you see, what we're fed, you know, and advertised. I feel
Yeah.
like we so again, why I took a social media break, why I took a entertainment break. I mean, again, to reiterate, a year and a half with 5 movies. That's it. That's it. You know, like I wanted to cut the influence, like being influenced and being driven or directed to a headspace that I may not agree with, but since it was catchy, since it was, you know, they did the sound effects. I do video editing too, so I know how the back end works, you know, on sound effects and like grabbing someone's attention and stuff like that. Like that's what they do. They capitalize us to move us. And it's not always in the good way, you know. And it affects our community because we lose touch of our culture, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, what we're seeing now, that's not our culture, what we've
No.
grown up, you know,
Nope.
and that's not our culture.
Nope. Not at
You
all.
know, so we're losing touch of our culture, and that is replacing our culture with violence and this and like who are we fighting? We fighting each other? Like that makes no sense. Why?
Literally.
Why are we war ready?
Literally.
Why are we war ready? For what? We fighting each other? Like that's not our enemy, is each other. We got one common enemy if we want to blame this whole thing. But we ain't the problem here. You know what I mean? So we need to come together and just have more positive things as a community. And I live in Colorado, so I go through these small towns and everything like that. And they have a community. Every Sunday, like you were talking about, cleaning up and everything like that on Saturdays, they're out there raking their lawn. They're doing this. Back in the day with the marble, in Baltimore with the marble steps and everything like that, they were shiny. People would go out and they were proud of their stuff. Like, nobody wants to step outside anymore. Why? Because it's violent. You might step outside, you might get shot, you know, whatever. It's, again, instilling fear in our community to making it so uncomfortable that you're confined to your own house. That's prison. That's prison.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I'm like, yo, like we need to go out, and there's so much public land. There's so much BLM land, you know, out there that we have access to. We can go there too. It's free. It just takes gas money, you know. You go out there, you can do whatever. You can have fun, you know. You could bring your friends, have a party, have a bonfire, put up a tent. You could car camp, whatever makes you comfortable. But we're not even taught that through outdoor education. We never had outdoor education classes ever, ever. You know, so again, I'm trying to bridge that gap with my thing is to give our people an opportunity to learn and have outdoor education because again, segregation started this. You know, it wasn't advertised to us. We couldn't go to national parks. You know, there was a study in 2006 or no, 2016. Black people made up 1.6% of like people that visited like national parks, public lands, and stuff like that. You know, so that's white people's like. I'm sorry to get racial here, but that is their space, right? That tends to be their space.
Hmm.
And through segregation, we were herded up here and redlined and not advertised that and not told about that and saying that's a bad thing. The KKK's out there. You can't go out there. And then that instills fear into us, and then we're confined to our neighborhoods, and now we're on top of each other like Baltimore is, and all close and confined to each other, and we sitting here fighting each other. You know, like so. Again, I think outdoor education, getting people to spread out, to have a moment to reflect, get families to have family time again, and sometimes the parents need to have a moment of alone time too. You
Yeah.
know, it's stressful. it's stressful, you know.
Mhm.
You got to make ends meet is not the same anymore, you know. I mean, everything going up inside pay, you know. So,
Yeah, food is
um,
crazy right now. Food is absolutely crazy. Gas prices are crazy. The cost of living is crazy. Rent is crazy. I mean, every way, which and way you turn, it's like something is almost unbearably expensive to pay for nowadays. So, and then even the job part of the job world is crazy because you have a lot of people quitting, you have a lot of people not going back to work. You still have a lot of people that have not gotten their 2020 taxes refund. You still got people that have not gotten the pandemic money that was issued out from the stimulus checks. I mean, you have a lot of people still out of a lot of work. You had people in Baltimore, here in Baltimore specifically, we had several businesses close during the height of the pandemic, and we're not going to see those businesses come back. It was a lot of businesses that closed in Baltimore that I was shocked to see go because of the pandemic. And I mean, that's affected Baltimore's recreational purposes right there too as well. Um, Artscape, we haven't had Artscape the last 2 years. We haven't had all those different activities that Baltimore does during the summertime. We have not had. So it's really it's really an eye opener to see, because if we don't have those things anymore, the youth are going to be lost. The youth are going to be like totally lost. And I really do feel like we need to sit down and talk with the community leaders, I mean, talking, but we got to put some action to it too as well. I'm going to be putting some action to what I'm talking, because i
yeah,
can't i can't sit back and watch Baltimore crumble. I can't watch Baltimore crumble, even though how bad it
see,
is. Even though you're not living here anymore, you're still going to be affected by it, because you have family here, you have friends here, you have the influence from Baltimore is still there. I'm pretty sure, Evan, all of that is still there. So we have to
that's
do
the
something.
only thing I care about. I've only been out here for 4 years, you know. So I'm still from Baltimore. I'm not like these people out here. Like, you know, like from Baltimore, it's totally different. So that's the only thing I care about. That's the only thing I want to do is just help where I'm from. You know, like I see myself in them. They're stepping in the same streets that I stepped in, you know, so I just want to help them to get them out of the situation that I was in, because it was a lot of hurt, trauma, and especially kids. There's especially young teens, and you know they're going through a transformation, you say, forming years of their lives, you know. And if you catch that early enough, and you instill good values in them, and good activities and healthy practices and stuff like that, I think our community will be a lot better, you know.
Yeah.
You know, at least you're raising the next generation to at least aspire to help out, to be, you know, to speak up and have a voice, you
I
know.
mean,
So
we
I
we
don't speak much. I don't post on Facebook or anything like that. I really haven't even posted about my camp that much, honestly. It's coming out um, through the news and radio and stuff like that. But I'm all about action, you know.
mhm.
Like I I could care less, because talk is something, you know. But
Yeah.
like when something's going on, you know, like, hey, people doubted me all the time. They were like, oh, you going to do all 58? There's 58 14ers, yo. 58 peaks over 14,000 feet. And I climbed all of them in 2 years, you know.
That's amazing.
That's, you know,
That's
so
that's
yeah, that's
huge.
dedication. So a lot of people, and I called it a year and a half prior. I said, yo, I'm going to finish on September 25th, my son's birthday. People were like, oh, no, no way, no way. So not only am I the fourth African American to ever do it, I am the fastest African American to ever do it. You know,
That
so
is huge.
even with that,
That
yeah,
is
because
huge.
you can have the
I hope y'all heard that.
From Baltimore, yo, representing. Nothing else, yo.
That is
Yo,
awesome. That is awesome, Evan. I when I
yeah, but
saw your interview and you explained in variation detail of what you've gone through and what you did to do it to accomplish that, I was literally blown away. I said I knew a side of you that I've never saw before. And that's dedication. That's what dedication looks like. And that's what perseverance looks like. When you keep going.
that's what not listen. That's what not listening. You have a goal, you see, envision yourself,
Yeah.
and that's not listening to everybody. Like,
Opinions
and that's why I
opinions
say
don't matter.
instilling trust.
Yeah, opinions
Yeah,
don't matter.
and instilling trust, not with somebody else, but with yourself. Do you trust
Within
yourself?
yourself. Yes. 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 Yes.
You know?
Most definitely.
So, right.
It because when you entrust yourself, you find more and more ways to bring yourself to accomplish more. You're going to accomplish more. If you trust and believe in yourself first, that's why I tell people all the time, you can't talk about bullying if you have not experienced it yourself. You can't talk about depression if you have not been it to yourself, because it starts with you first. You gotta have experience. You gotta walk it
And
out.
that's what I'm saying. Everybody's got a voice. Everybody. And people belittle themselves. And we devalue ourselves. But what you have gone through and what you feel, it adds value to you.
Yeah.
That makes you more relatable, because a lot of people go through this. Not everybody, but I'm saying a lot of people have similar opinions, have similar stories growing up, dealing with trauma, dealing with bully, dealing with whatever, they're self-conscious and
Drug abuse,
stuff like that.
from the parents.
Right.
Childhood trauma. Everybody goes through that.
And right. So again, like, we all have a voice, and if we use our voice and not caring what other people say or anything like that, you don't know who you're affecting. And you might not get the instant gratification that the world is used to now, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. If you're affecting one, that still matters. That counts, because that is a compound effect. We need to think like a business mindset, like stocks. The more money you put into something, the more it's going to flip. If you put $2 into something, you only get $4 if it flips. You put 4,000, that's 8,000. So, like, again, and then after the 8, if that flips, that's so it just keeps on going. It keeps on growing.
Yeah.
So if we instill positive things into, not all, I'm not trying to reach everybody, but in some, then obviously it wasn't taught to our grandparents. It wasn't taught to our parents. And if we teach it to you, then you're going to teach it to your kids, and then your kids are going to teach it to their kids, and and then they're going to spread it to their friends. You just don't understand how that can, the power of influence.
Yeah. And then you have those that have that negative influence.
Right.
But
that's gratified more, though. That's advertised more in our community and stuff like that. But I think it's our narrative to change on what our kids emulate, what our kids consume, what our kids want to, like, do you know MKBHD?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, getting more black boys, like, looking at MKBHD and be like, yo, I could be him. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
more
influence,
more positive things, right? Not everybody gonna be a rapper, y'all. I'm sorry, I just gotta say that.
No, everybody's not going to be a rapper. You can be a baseball player. You can be a football player, basketball player. Growing up, a lot of people used to tell me, oh, baseball is for white people. I'm like, what? Baseball can be for black people. Like, what? And a lot of people, we used to get teased for the sports that we used to play. I mean, like, come on. What? I mean, black people like baseball too. So,
yeah, but it's
crazy.
We need to,
the stereotypes. stereotype it, and it's like, oh, it's not for you, it's not for them. I mean, it's a lot that we have to work on with our youth and young adults when it comes to actually getting down to the nitty-gritty, figuring out the possibility of bringing positive outlooks in here in Baltimore. I mean, we have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do. I know I got a lot of work to do. But if I can just reach more young people than ever with my story, your story, other people's story, and if more people come out with their stories and stories and stories, do you not know how much influence we could have with just the testimonies alone? Today was just awesome. Yours, mine. I don't know about everybody else's, all the other speakers I had, but we'll talk about that later. But just, I really do think we can be a positive outlook here in Baltimore. I mean, there's some areas that are positive, but in the last 4 years here in Baltimore, the last 6 or 8 years, it has not been a positive outlook. And then we get in these people in these offices, and they're saying all this stuff, and they're not.
I feel like we need to acknowledge it.
We need to expose it.
Yeah, and we need to expose our kids to situations, because it's just like food. You look at something, you be like, oh, I don't like it. But then when you try it, that's your favorite food now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, we got to expose our kids to these things so they can actually understand, like, you can actually do it. This is actually fun. You know, like, kids could snowboard, you know, and kids could ice skate. Kids could bobsled. I don't know. You know, like, kids could do all of these things. We need to take over, you know. And it's so much. We have so much skill, ability in Baltimore, raw talent. But if you don't make it to the league or anything like that, what happens to that talent? You know?
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. And I remember back in middle school, I was being teased because I like soccer. They was like, oh, why are you doing soccer? Soccer's not for black people. I mean, what?
Yeah, but right.
I mean,
but kids don't understand how detrimental that is.
Yeah,
and that's just so. And everybody is that, but everybody's dealing with that because everybody gets talked about. Everybody did get packed up. You know
but when I was the number one kicker, I mean, they had nothing to say then. I mean, soccer was my thing.
Right. So
not every kid. There's different things that you can do with sports. Not every kid is gonna do basketball, football, the regular ones, which is basketball, football, and probably soccer or any other sport. But they always used to downplay all the other sports and be like, oh, you have to do basketball, or you have to do football. No, there's plenty of other sports that kids like other than basketball and football. But again, I was ridiculed because I liked soccer. And I'm like, okay, you ain't gotta be friends with me just because you like basketball don't mean I have to like it. I mean, come on. I mean, but that was the era that we lived in because we couldn't.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have a true belief that Baltimore has raw talent, and I think rock climbing. I think rock climbing is gonna take over a little bit.
We have potential influences here in Baltimore. I mean, look at Devon Fleming. Devon Fleming here in Baltimore.
Right.
Look at him.
I think
he's a singer.
Yeah. I think he's related to Vincent Fleming. I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
It's so many different talents where we can influence young people, but and then you have that mentality of parents saying, "Oh, you have a lot of kids nowadays that are trying to please their parents and live out their parents' dream and not their own dream of their own." And a lot of parents need to get out of that too. Like, let your kids dream their own dreams. If you want to do something, go out and do it. You got to have the passion. If you got the passion for it, if you got the passion to sew or design clothes, do makeup, do hair, whatever it is that's your niche or your calling, you go after what you want, not what your parents think you should want.
Yeah, and directing your kids' attention.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
kids get bored easily, and then now we got social media, and they could be on this and that. How much you consume in an hour, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So sometimes taking a step away from that and occupying your kids and stimulating their mind and building trust within. I mean, that's no trust going like this, bro. You know, that doesn't build any trust.
No. Nope.
You know, so other things, you know, can build trust within, so we can have kids that are actually self-sufficient. You know, again, it goes back to trust. Like they're confident. They're confident.
And a lot of
in what
them
they
don't have that. A lot of them have self-esteem issues. We have a lot of youth right now that are going through self-esteem issues, anger management. I mean, we have to reach our young boys too, because we got a lot of trauma going on with us. I hate to say it, but I am going to say it because it's the truth. But we have a lot of young men out here that need a lot of young men that don't have that father figure in their life. Like, the father's either locked up or away or doing drugs or doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. But a lot of the decisions that the parents make overall, a lot of the decisions that the parents make determines the outcome of the children. And I know, yes, I know sometimes you say we can't be what our parents were, but that still can affect you in some way, because you're like, oh gosh, like because the childhood trauma, because as a baby you're processing, you're thinking all of that, all of that is actually making you think. That's why I said the mind is so powerful, because all of you,
subconscious.
yeah, the culture, the childhood trauma, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the bullying, the suicidal thoughts, all of that comes into play with your mind. And if you don't know how to acknowledge it or release it, then we're gonna have a terrible world on our hands. It's a lot of young people that are dealing with so many things that aren't able to express it or release it. And we gotta get this together. We gotta get we gotta get it together. I mean, we, I don't want to go off topic, but it's a lot of things that we can do that we are just not doing, and we could be more proficient at, like we used to do, like us growing up. Our parents ain't let us do most of the things. Oh, why are you watching that television show? That television show is talking about demonic things and different things, and our parents sheltered us away from most of the television. I mean, but back then back when we were growing up, we had television shows that actually showed you how to make a difference in people's lives. All those television shows. Cartoon Network is not the same. Nickelodeon is definitely not the same. All these cartoons are not the same when we were growing up watching them on Saturday morning, eating a bowl of Captain Crunch. I mean, or Fruit Loops or whatever cereal you like. They're not the same anymore. So
I feel like we lost control. I feel like we lost control of our kids. Not saying control, but our kids are being controlled by a different entity. It's not just influence like your mom and dad used to be, right?
It's
And you
different
would look
entities.
up to them.
It's demonic.
It's so
It's
vast.
demonic.
It's so vast. Yeah.
The demonic world is
And
taking
what's
over.
pushed, just look at the news. You know, you hear so many positive things in our community that happen. Positive things happen every day in our community, you know, but that's not highlighted.
Nope.
What draws attention is all the negativity and stuff like that. So if we're always constantly watching negative things, what does that do? That draws negative energy, and then negative, you know. So like I said, I'm all about energy, you know. So what I try to keep in my head and in what I try to digest is positive things.
Yeah.
You know, to keep that spirit up, to keep that depression down, to you know, not say hide my thoughts or anything like that, but to stimulate my thoughts and direct my thoughts into another way
Yeah.
that, you know, is more beneficial to me and even for my health. You know, all of this negative energy and stuff like that is really causing a lot of hypertension, a lot of anger, a lot of what else? Anxiety.
Unresolved anger and anxiety. Unresolved.
Yep.
You didn't come to full fruition to find a solution or resolve it. It's just barricading inside of you. So when you push it and push it and push it and push it and do things or be around things that's negative, that negative energy affects you in a way, especially the negative energy in our communities. Right now in Baltimore, you got shootings, you got killings, you got murders every other day, or it doesn't matter what time of day it is. That environment will start to speak out in itself on you. Like the environment that you're in can control the totality of your mind.
Yeah, if you never get away from your environment too, I mean, you're literally drowning in your environment. They painted the picture. If you look at broken down buildings, this, that, every single day in disparity, you don't even see an opportunity. If you live in a neighborhood where there's houses and somebody just got a new car, this, that, you know, like you see
growth.
value, you see, oh, well, yeah, you see growth, you see opportunity, you see all these things that you're like, man, I want that. Like, you try to emulate things outside, you know, and kids, they're kids. We were kids. You got to remember when we were kids, like, we're so gullible in a way, you know, not in a like mean way or anything, but like we can't distinguish truth from you know, reality versus, you know, fake or whatever, you know, like it is what it is. So.
Yeah, I agree. But we got to come to a point to bring that positive outlook on people, because it is something serious. It is something serious. It is something that I feel that we need to get a grip on quickly, because it's not enough people doing something about it. And I really do feel like that people need to open their eyes, people need to wake up and go and get their kids, because the more and more each and every day passes, the more and more our communities here are dwindling down. I can't tell you how many homeless young people I see on the street that don't have anything. I mean, literally nothing. I see kids on benches. I see kids under bridges. I see most of them walking around through the night. It's crazy. It is literally mind-blowing. And the parents are nowhere to be found. Or they might have been put out.
How do you heal from that?
Well, that's a good question. How do you heal from it? But first, in order to heal from it, you got to acknowledge what's going on around you. You got to acknowledge what's going on around you. You got to acknowledge what's going on within you first, yourself. Then you have to acknowledge the fact of the negativity and the trauma around you, your environment. Then you have to acknowledge and release the people that influenced you or were there in the situation and didn't do anything positive about it. All they did was negative, and not added no positive ounce in the situation that you're going through. So healing is a process. Healing is a releasing. And if we don't release what's going on right now, I feel like it's a big inflated balloon and it's going to pop unless we start releasing some of that air and suppressing some of that air out and putting positive air so that the actual balloon float. You don't want the balloon to pop, because if you let it pop, it's not going to be there anymore. It's going to be gone, deflated. We need to inflate positive people, positive structures and values in our communities. We need to get back to having community watches. I remember when they used to do community block captains on our street, and I think they had community meetings. You don't really see that anymore. Like, there were certain people or Pacific residents that would take care of the block. You don't see that anymore. You don't see it. And I feel it's really sad to see, because we had so much influence when we were growing up. When we were growing up, we had so much. We had Barbara Mikulski here in Baltimore. We had Dutch Rutherfurger. We had all these influential people. Elijah Cummings. We had so many different people. We had Reverend Al Sharpton. We had all these different influential people.
John Lewis.
You said what?
John Lewis.
Yes, John Lewis. John Lewis definitely he played a detrimental part here in Baltimore. He didn't let Baltimore go down for anything. So, like you said, who's going to take their place? We're not going to get another John Lewis. We're not going to get another Elijah Cummings. Who's going to Kweisi Mfume? Come on. We're not going to get these people back. What are we going to do about the right now? Who's going to take their place? Who's going to step up to the plate and do the positive influence that they had on Baltimore like they had?
Yep.
I know I
understanding that, and then understanding that those people weren't like, you got to understand and acknowledge that those people weren't like. So
they were not liked at all. At all.
Right. So by some people, you're never gonna win over everybody, you know. So understanding that ridicule is coming. Everybody that had one great idea was called insane at one point, but then when they invented something and it actually worked, they're called a genius, you know. So having that mindset and outlook on life, that creates the ingenuity that we all have, you know. So I that's what I feel like. You know.
All right, so we got about maybe 20 more minutes. Is there anything that you want to say to the people out there?
Follow me on YouTube and Instagram, Black Sherpa. I make these crazy videos. I be hanging off of cliffs, rock climbing and stuff. I'm bringing that camp to Baltimore, and that's an annual camp now. That is solidified.
Just to reiterate for me what, and I know people are watching, so if you want, go ahead and use my platform and let everybody know what the camp is, what was funded.
So this year we're having a week-long summer camp, and it's a nature camp, which it's actually called Urban Trekkers at Nature Camp, and we're taking kids from Baltimore to Virginia, and they're going to be out there, and it's fully funded. Transportation's taken care of, food, lodging, all of that is taken care of. Backpacks, water bottles, shoes if they need them, swimsuits if they need them, hair braided if girls need them, whatever the case may be. We're just trying to help kids. So this is a fully paid for event, camp. And we raised the money for this camp.
And this will be this summer, correct?
It's going to be in August, this summer.
Okay.
And so this one is going to be a week long this year, but next year is going to be 2 week long. So we're building programs and classes and stuff. So this is going to be our test trial. but we want to incorporate more things. So we're going to have like mindful body. We're going to have meditation. We're going to have yoga. We're going to teach them how to cook, survival skills, how to put a tent up. We're going to do daily hikes. We're going to have guest speakers. It's going to be amazing. We got people, and this camp has been established for years, you know, but they wanted to give back to the community because predominantly it is a white camp. So they were just trying to figure out how they can incorporate and give back to the community. And so they're using my platform to help and give back. So this is going to be an annual camp for 80 kids, pro bono, no cost to them, a nature camp, and taking them from Baltimore to Virginia. The goal, I'm going to speak this into fruition. The goal for me is to bridge Colorado and Baltimore. And because Colorado has great outdoors, you know, you could get introduced out here in the outdoors. So I would love to have a ranch or, you know, private property and stuff like that on the mountains. And I can introduce people into the mountains, make sure that they're comfortable into the outdoors, know how to put a tent up, know the tent essentials, know first aid, you know, first aid wilderness training, learn how to cook, you know, how to read plants and herbalists and stuff like that. Meditation, if you want to learn how to snowboard, rock climb, all your adventure stuff, you know, because I do all of that, you know. So actually, when I get off of here, I'm probably heading up snowboard today. So just saying. But yeah, that's the dream. I just want to give back. I want to introduce and teach outdoor education to our generation, our youth, our young adults, and it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter your age. It's never too late to get in there, because it really changes your life. It is it's a time to reflect. It's a time to fully understand and digest the situation that you were in. Sometimes if you never leave that situation, you can't fully reflect. How can you get over a situation when that person's right there? You know, that's very hard. So when you go out into the wilderness and everything like that, you're alone, you're secluded, you're only with your thoughts, you know, and you can't escape it. You can't just plug your thoughts away. You can't entertain yourself. You can't numb the pain with the drug, you know. So we're just trying to teach people how to have a healthy way to cope and reflect on things, and you know, and to teach and make outdoor education more accessible. It's not accessible to us right now. You know, it's not advertised to us. So, and you got young kids that have dreams that, oh, that looks cool, you know, like I want to snowboard, I want to rock climb, I want to kayak, I want to whitewater raft, I want to, you know, I want to zip line, I want to do. So we held a camp actually last year in Denver, Colorado, and it was a 3-week adventure camp. Every single day they were doing a different activity. We went to a state park. We went ziplining. We took them to a water park. We took them to a museum. Did I say kayak? They kayaked. They put up tents. Man, they did so much. I mean, they did every day. It was like crazy. It was crazy. It was like I wanted to be a kid. You know, I was like, man, if I had that as a kid, that's so crazy. And it was no cost. That's the thing. I don't want to do this just for money or anything like that. I want to just strictly give back, because helping somebody else and influencing a generation of change, I think that's worth more than money. I think I'll live on forever if I do that, you know. So it's not about a personal gain or anything like that. It's just about how can I change our culture, or influence our culture in a positive way. That's really it. I just want to I'm not speaking any, like if you're not with it, that's cool. I'm not trying to force anybody to do this, but if you're interested, what's up? It's free, like, and I feel like money gets in the way to a lot of these things. Outdoor recreation is very expensive. Going snowboarding or skiing, I mean, those passes are like $60, but then you got to buy the gear, so the gear is very expensive. And so if I cut that cost out and you try it, you'd be like, man, I could do this. I might want to make that investment, but you're not going to make that investment if you don't know if you're going to like it or not,
Right.
So, again, I'm just trying to influence people to try something new, see if you like it. If you don't, it is what it is. If you do, great. I'm doing nothing but positive for our community, trying to, help people, just further themselves, think and build trust within,
Yeah.
trust with them. We got a lot of timid people. We got a lot of great ideas, but great ideas are hushed. People are scared to talk up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
um,
especially about their recreational aspects and goals and what they want to do recreational wise. Like you have kids and youth out here that want to do sports. Like you have them, not just the basketball, football, soccer, hockey, even though they're all great sports, but there's different ones out there that a lot of kids probably would want to do and probably would love to do,
yeah,
but they just don't have the community's not
access.
the community's not accessing it, and they're also not putting it to the forefront, because some people might say, oh, this dude Evan such and such did snowboarding at this such and such camp for this amount of weeks, and I love it, I want to go back and do it. Open and accessible to you. Open. It has to be open. You have to show kids about it, because a lot of people don't know. So you,
Right. And we got so much young talent, and I really want to tap into the colleges, because if
yeah,
you didn't make it to the league, or you didn't make it, you got raw talent. It might not be like top tier or anything like that, but I mean, they're in
right.
shape. They're willing to do these things, and stuff like that. So I want them to experience it, and so they can keep up with that. They could see, like, okay, I could use myself and do other things to pass time, instead of going
Yeah,
to the bar and drinking and going to the club, because after you graduate high school, you didn't make it to the league or college. What do? You grab a job, and then you're going through the motions like everybody else on the East Coast, and recreation and outdoor activities is nothing like, like, it's not a question. You go to the beach once in a while, but that's about it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so.
I do want to say the mental health conference is over, but I do want to say thank you. It's been over, but I do want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for speaking to myself, to my field of friends, to everybody. Just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really, really do appreciate it. And hopefully this won't be the last time that you speak for me at one of my conferences. But thank you so much for doing this, Evan. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and talk about mental health and what it has done for us as a community, for me, for you. We went to high school together, so it's really good to collaborate with friends that have dealt actually with the same thing that we have always been, together. So I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate this, man. I really, really do. Even though the other ones had other things to do, because I know it's a Saturday, but I really, really do appreciate you stepping up to the plate and giving.
Yeah, that's what I say. I choose to do different with my 24 hours. I'm still up. I worked last night. I worked the day before and the day before, and so 72 hours now with like 4 hours of sleep, and I still do it. I still did this. I still got an hour and a half drive home too. So, um, it, it's the world is ours, man. It's about what work you're willing to put in to do it and make it come
Yeah,
true. So.
yeah. But thank you. I appreciate it, and I will talk with you soon.
All right, man. See ya.
Alrighty, thank you so much, bro. Again.
All right. Peace.
Deuces.